family of God. I love it. Shrewd. All right. So I'm glad I didn't have a picture of this, with Sam and Anna and their house burning down. But isn't life just one big pop quiz? You just never know what's coming, and then it comes along. The pictures I have are going to go forward. So you have a car accident, and there's a whole list of questions. It's like a pop quiz. Okay, was it my fault? Was it his fault? Does he have insurance? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to get home, right? Pop quiz. Same thing, you're at a store, you're waiting to check out, and there's the clerk, and she's oblivious. And it's a pop quiz. Gee, do I get mad? Do I just stand here patiently? Do I say something? Everything we do is like one giant pop quiz. And kids, that's like a pop quiz every single minute of every single day. Do I lose my temper? What do? I'm in the middle of the store. Do I just give them what they want, which will lead to them screaming louder the next time? Life is tough. And we are called on daily for the patience, for ingenuity, for flexibility, for, creativity, for courage, for just the perseverance to keep going, because life is just a giant test. Well, one of the biggest tests we face is dealing with money. Now, I don't normally like to preach on money. I feel like if you want to give to the church, you'll give to the church, and if you don't, you won't, and that's not my business. That's between you and God. But I have been going through the hard sayings of Jesus, and he made a really hard saying. This thing is being a little slow today. Jesus gave us a parable. He spoke about money a lot, but he's Jesus, so I'm going to let him do that. But he gave us this one parable that is just such a head-scratcher. And it really has taken me a long time to get my mind around what he is saying. But let's go ahead and read it. It's in Luke 16, 1 through 12. And if you're like me, you've read this many times and gone, what? What's he saying? So in this parable, Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him in and he asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer. The manager said to himself, what shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I am not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I'll do. I'm going to cheat my master. So when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses. So he called in each one of his master's debtors. He asked the first, how much money do you owe my master? 900 gallons of olive oil, the man said. Well, the manager told him, take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 450. He called the second in and said, how much do you owe? 1,000 bushels of wheat, he replied. He told him, take your bill and make it 800. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourself, so that when it's gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. Whoever can be trusted with very little can be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy, okay, went really far. There we go. Back one more. Are you pushing a button? Okay. You might have to, though, because it just, okay, thank you. If you've been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? Okay, and then I want to ask, what? Have you ever just scratched your head wondering what Jesus is saying here? It's one of those oddball parables. It's like, did Jesus really say that? Well, yeah, he did. Money handling, I think, is a test. God could have created it in such a way that we didn't have to deal with money, but he didn't. He made this world so that you always have to have either money or you have to trade something. To get what you need, you have to give something. That's the way God has designed it. And so I think that one of the things Jesus was saying is that handling money is a test. How we handle money says a lot about us, whether for good or bad. It really does. Adversity in financial matters is very common. Is there anybody in here who has never struggled with money problems? Anybody? Because if you're like me, money is always an issue. Not as much maybe as it was when I was a lot younger. We've gotten a little better. But money is a problem. How much money? Do you have, as they say, too much month at the end of your money? Have you ever heard that one? Boy, is that true sometimes. Adversity in financial matters is probably the most common problem, at least among Americans, I think. And that includes most of us here. So adversity in financial matters is very common. And if it'll go forward, one more time. Sometimes it's our fault, and sometimes it's not our fault. When I was young, I was never taught. I had a dad who did very well with his money, and he taught his sons how to handle money, but he did not teach his daughters how to handle money. Nothing, not a peep from my dad, how to handle money. So I get married, and I don't know if John's dad taught him much about money, but the two of us, you know, he started making some money and we started blowing it. And then all of a sudden there's too much month at the end of the money. No one ever taught me about financial stability and putting money aside and saving. I mean, my dad tried to get me to start a bank account when I was like 7, but after that, not a peep. So a lot of the times the financial problems were our own fault. They were my fault and sometimes John's fault. I think more me. I wanted to spend money. It's exciting to spend money. It's fun to buy stuff. Not so fun when the end of the month comes and the bills comes and there's not enough money in the checkbook. So sometimes the money problems are our own fault, but truthfully, sometimes it's not. You make this much and your bills are this much, and then next year you still make this much and your bills are this much. Sometimes it's just a problem. You know, the rent goes up, the cost of the food goes up, the cost of your transportation goes up, the gas goes up, everything goes up except your paycheck. And so sometimes it's not our fault, but this fear of money is always, it seems like it's always kind of there. And this is what Jesus is trying to explain to us. It's a test. How are you going to deal with this constant fluctuation? It's like every day or every week or every month. Here it comes again, the test about what I'm going to do about not having enough money to pay my bills. How we handle that adversity, though, I think is what Jesus is trying to get at for us. He's trying to say, okay, this is going to keep coming around. Are you going to keep dealing with it the same old way? Or are you going to change how you deal with it? What do they say? If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. If you don't change how you deal with the adversity in money matters or any other, truthfully, if you don't change, well, then it's going to be the same every single month. It's up to us to change how we see it, how we answer this, what answer we put on the test, right? How we deal with it. It reveals a lot about our character. Do we have the character like Sam, who got up this morning and preached? He makes me think of how the Grinch stole Christmas with what were the names of those little people? The Who's in Whoville. And he stole all their presents. He stole their trees. He stole everything. He stole all their food. And what did they do on Christmas morning? Ah-ooh, glory, ah-ooh. There they were, singing their hearts out. That's what Sam was doing this morning. He got up, he found a generator, and he went to church. Wow. That blows my mind. Would I have been that good? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't read that. And he got up and he preached this morning. Yeah, that just blows my mind. Could I have done that? Would I have done that? I'd like to think I would, but it's a test. And every time that money thing comes back around, we're faced with it again and again and again. So, now here's the other thing. Jesus is not advocating for dishonesty. A lot of people think, well, why did Jesus tell this parable? Is he advocating for us to be dishonest? No. All right? The master, it may not go forward, but I'm going to talk anyway. The master might have said to the man, well played, right? The guy was clever. But the truth is, he still lost his job. Still lost his job. Jesus is not advocating for us to be dishonest. Thank you, Paul. Go ahead and go to the next one. The scripture says, make friends by means of unrighteous wealth. It does not say use unrighteous means to make wealth. It does not say that, or even to use unrighteous means to make friends. We are supposed to take that unrighteous wealth and use it to make friends in this world. That's what he's trying to say. So what does he mean by that? Number one, do you pay your bills on time? If you have the money, do you pay your bills on time? If you don't have the money, do you at least call? I mean, do you do the right thing? Or do you just let it go and hope it won't, hope it'll go away? Because when you get to heaven, Jesus said, being welcomed into eternal dwellings, if you do the right thing each and every time, then when you get to heaven, those creditors are going to have good things to say about you, aren't they? She paid her bills on time. At least, she tried to pay her bills on time and she couldn't, so she called us and she made arrangements. She didn't just let it go until we had to go spend the money and hire a collector to come get the bill. If we do the right things, I'm going to try to see if I can get it to go forward here. Okay, well, I guess that's where we're at. Those bill collectors and those creditors will stand in heaven when you come in. I might be making this up, but he did say being welcomed in, those friends will welcome you into eternal dwellings. When you get to heaven, if those creditors are there, they're going to speak well on your behalf, aren't they? They're going to say, oh, look, welcome Narita. She came in, and this is one who paid her bills on time. And when she couldn't pay her bills on time, she called us and made arrangements. She did the right thing. Those creditors are going to speak on our behalf. What about missions, ministries, charities? Do you give to those people? Those people will stand there in heaven and speak on your behalf. Now, if you don't have the money to give to missions and ministries and charities, you think to yourself, that is a great ministry. I would love to give to them. I don't have the money. Ask God to give you enough to put something in the pot. Sometimes God gives us money specifically so that we'll give it away. You thought about that? I think of the lady with the 2 coins, the widow who gave those 2 coins that were less than a penny. And Jesus commended her because she gave more than all the others. If you want to give to these ministries that we do every month, the Nazarene Compassionate and the World Evangelism Fund and the what's the big one we do in September? Alabaster and those. And you don't have any money, how about a nickel? Put a nickel in, put a dime in, put a couple of pennies in, stick it in an envelope and write World Evangelism Fund. God sees it. You might think, oh, who cares about 2 pennies? God does. Cares. If you have a nickel to give, give. That's all. It doesn't matter how much. It matters that you gave it. If 2 pennies is all you have, give 2 pennies. Put it in an envelope. If you don't want to put your name on it, that's okay. But put it and put World Evangelism Fund or Alabaster, whatever it takes. We don't care. It's not ours. You're giving it to God. And God sees even the little bitty 2 cents or the nickel. He sees that. Those things are so important. Do we help yeah, I'm fighting with you. Do we help the orphans and the widows here as a church? Because we as a church also are going to answer to God for how we use the money that this church gets. It's very important to me that we are honest with the money that we get and that we use it for good causes. I want everyone who is here to know that their money's being used for good things. So do we give to orphans and widows? I know that every time someone calls the church phone asking for money, we do our best to help them out, usually up to a certain amount, because there are those that'll just keep calling every month and, just trying to get something out of us. I've had people call, they need a room at they want a room at a nicer hotel, but we get them a room at the Motel 6 because you get more rooms for your money. And so we'll get them a room for a couple days, and then they'll call back and pretend they're someone else and try to get rooms for another couple days. So we have to be wise, because there are the shysters and the ones that try to take advantage. But for the most part, as a church, we do try to help everyone who needs help. And that is something that I know Susie's going to be mad at me for saying, but if you're attending this church and you've been attending this church a long time and you are struggling with money, that's what we're here for. Don't go out without paying your bills if you need money. Come and ask. Isn't that what we're here for? Didn't the New Testament church support the widows who were widows indeed? Now, not just widows, but we have others who are single and really struggling. We're just sitting on your money. I mean, come and ask. We may not be able to pay everything, but if you're a faithful person who comes here all the time and you've been given money, it's time for you to get a little back. That's what I think. I might get yelled at, but aren't we supposed to help the members of the church? Here we are helping these strangers out there. If we have members of this church who need help, and not always, someone might just need a help for 1 month, maybe 2 months. Maybe they're just in between jobs, like Judy. God's been blessing her. I'm so grateful. But I would like to think that Judy could come to us if she needed help, because isn't that what we're here for? And then when we get to heaven and we have spent our money wisely as a church, there's going to be a line of people going, yep, those people helped me. Bring them in, Jesus, those people help me. That's so important. I think that we truly are, as it says here, we are in this together. It's a test. It's a test for your personal finances, and it's a test for us as a church, how we deal with money, because money is such a large portion of our lives. And we are truly in this together. We need to help each other. We need to come together as a church and help others, help each other, help ourselves, and be a blessing to our community in such a way that when we are received into those eternal dwellings, we will have so many friends. It's just going to be awesome. So to wrap it all up, yes, we want to hear, don't we all want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant? I know I do. I want to hear that. And I want to hear it as a church as well. Well done, good and faithful church. You have done a little bit for many people. I am going to bless you with so much more. And God has blessed this church, and I'm so grateful. But I do want to hear that. Well done. So I have a song, and I want to let Paul push it in a minute. Not yet, though. But I want us to each just take a few minutes and think about where we're at. This song is called Come As You Are. And I would like us to think about where we're at financially, personally, because what applies to money applies to everything, doesn't it? If you have a person that's just just grinds on you. It's kind of the same thing. Every time you meet them, it's a test, right? I think all of life is just one big test. Jesus is saying, come to me and let me help you. Just let me show you the way, and he will make us more like him. That's the plan.